Welcome to Kalos' Gaming Table. I am Kalos. On our journey through the medium mechs of Technical Readout 3025, we're nearing the end of the 40-tonners, but we're not quite there yet. Today, we're going to go over an incendiary mech that isn't too potent unless you're looking to make Smokey the Bear cry or invite infantry to be the main course at a barbecue. Let's dive in, shall we, and take a look at Battletech Incorporated's VL Vulcan. The American Civil War was the most devastating conflict humanity had ever experienced, and the fighting only got worse the closer the SLDF got to Terra. General Kerensky's forces fought meter by bloody meter to reclaim the worlds taken by Stefan Amaris's Rimworld Republic. Not all of the fighting was mech to mech. Infantry became a real threat, especially in cities, moving from building to building, striking without warning, and then fading away in the carnage. In 2775, Battletech Incorporated designed a solution to this infantry problem. A mech that packed flamers and machine guns to eradicate the infantry infestation. General Kerensky approved of the design, and once Battletech's factory on Northwind was liberated by SLDF forces, it was retooled to produce Vulcans. And produce them it did. In 2777, Vulcans walked out of the factory as the final push towards Terra began with Operation Liberation. Vulcans saw their first action in cities, proving the concept was not only sound, but successful. In the end, Kerensky retook Terra, but the damage was done. Each of the great houses saw themselves as rightful heir to first Star-Lord of the Star League. Each of those great houses liberated Vulcans from the troops that did not leave with General Kerensky on his exodus, and then the Succession Wars began. In the opening months of the First Succession War, Battletech's factory in Northwind was completely obliterated. The Lyran Commonwealth and Free Worlds League managed to save the plans for the Vulcan. Both star nations produced them in limited numbers. The other houses had enough spare parts to repair and refit their existing Vulcans. Why were the great houses so willing to produce and keep their Vulcans operational? The VL-2T might not be designed to go toe-to-toe with another battle mech in the same weight class, but against infantry, the Vulcan excelled. The VL-2T was armed with 1 AC-2 and a single ton of ammo to deal with buildings, 1 medium laser to help deal with more close-in threats, 1 machine gun with 1 ton of ammo, and 1 flamer. The machine gun and flamer are short range, and they often annoy a mech, but against infantry, especially if caught out in the open, they are devastating. Infantry would flee instead of trying to deal with a Vulcan. The VL-2T was also nimble, with a movement profile of 696. Allowing it to reposition easily in the tight confines of a city. 10 single heat sinks ensured that the Vulcan would not have many heat issues unless it jumped and alpha striked. The Vulcan only had 5 tons of armor, which is fairly low for a 40-ton mech, but against other mechs, it was woefully inadequate. Against the infantry it was hunting and eliminating, that was more than sufficient. The VL-2T was also affordable at 3.46 million C-bills, or 642 battle value. In true Battletech fashion, Vulcans were refit to help change the role with whatever weapons and parts the great houses, SLDF, or pirate bands had in excess of. The VL-5T Vulcan was released 1 year later in 2778. The VL-5T forgoes a longer range by dropping the AC-2 and ammo and replacing it with 3 more medium lasers, giving it a total of 4. The VL-5T also kept the machine gun and flamer. It adds 2 more heat sinks, giving it a total of 12, which will struggle to keep the Vulcan cool, especially if it's on the move. The VL-5T maintains a 696 movement profile. The cost of the VL-5T also went up to 942 battle value. Tech recovered, or rediscovered, however you want to look at it, from the Helm Memory Core helped usher in a new era of Vulcans. House Merrick brought to the table the VT-5M. Its chassis was upgraded to endosteel. The AC-2 was swapped out for a large pulse laser, and the medium laser was upgraded to a medium pulse laser. It kept the machine gun and flamer. 11 double heat sinks did a stellar job of keeping the VT-5M from spiking into the red, and it maintained a movement profile of 696. With this new tech, there was an expected price hike, and the VT-5M could be yours for 811 battle value, at least until the factory that was churning them out was leveled in 3069. House Steiner produced their own Vulcan with the VT-5S. Its armor was upgraded to ferrofibrous, and they dropped an XL engine into the chassis. The AC-2 was upgraded to an Ultra AC-5 with a single ton of ammo, protected by case. It kept the medium laser, flamer, and machine gun. 10 single heatsinks were more than adequate to keep the VT-5S cool, unless it jumped. To give the VT-5S more mobility, mask was added, allowing this Vulcan to move at 6, 9, 12, 6. The XL engine does mean that the VT-5S is now susceptible to a side torso kill. Despite that, the price tag for the VT-5S was only 833 battle value. In 3069, the VT-6M arrived. It was based off the VT-5M, but had a very limited release, which ended when the factory was destroyed. The Blakists procured the majority of the 30 known produced VT-6Ms. The engine on the VT-6M was upgraded to an XL engine, and this savings allowed them to swap out most of the lasers for a light Gauss rifle with 2 tons of ammo. For shorter ranged targets, it had an ER medium laser. The flamer and machine gun were there to ruin the day of any infantry the VT-6M might come across. 10 double heatsinks ensured that the VT-6M never had to worry about overheating and continued the Vulcan's movement profile of 696. If you happen to acquire a VT-6M from a Blakist stronghold, you can slot it into your force for 959 battle value. The Word of Blake continued their love affair with the Vulcan, and in 3070 unleashed the VT-6C. Wanting to incorporate more mechs with C3, the Blakists added improved C3 to the VT-6C and dropped all the lasers, replacing them with an ER large laser and an ER medium laser. The machine gun was swapped out for 3 light machine guns tied to a machine gun array. These light machine guns were fed by a single ton of ammo. The VT-6C also had a flamer. 10 double heatsinks could keep this Vulcan cool, but they would start to be strained if it jumped and alpha striked. The VT-6C was nimble, maintaining a 696 movement profile. All of those changes did increase the price tag to 959 battle value. The last Vulcan I'm going to go over is the VT-7T, and it is nightmare fuel for infantry. The VT-7T has an XL engine to free up weight, and its armor was upgraded to ferrofibrous. The VT-7T is armed with 1 plasma rifle and 2 tons of ammo, 1 ER medium laser, it and the plasma rifle also tied to a targeting computer, 1 heavy flamer with a single ton of ammo, and 1 heavy machine gun with a half ton of ammo. 10 double heatsinks gives the VT-7T seating flexibility in deciding how it wants to eliminate any infantry infestations. A supercharger was added to the VT-7T, giving it a movement profile of 6, 9, 12, 6. All of that did drive the price tag up to 1,499 battle value. In the right situation, the Vulcan can be a fun mech, and I'm hoping you're digging this video. If you are, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and share it with others. I'm still advancing towards 1,000 subscribers, and these small things help my channel out. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, cruise on over to Bluesky, where I share channel updates, work in progress pictures, and silly memes. If you would like to more substantially support the channel, you can also buy me a coffee, link in the notes below. Now, back to the video. The Vulcan was an original facet design, first appearing in Technical Readout 3025. It's pretty gangly looking, a lot of the older line art was. It makes me think of somebody hunching their shoulders, though it's not horrible. I don't remember ever fielding a Vulcan back in the day, mostly because the flamer and machine gun were laughable against a battle mech, and we didn't really play with infantry, where the Vulcans are the hero of the story. For 642 battle value, I could bring something else that had range to actually threaten a battle mech. Catalyst Game Labs did a fantastic job with the redesign of the Vulcan for the Mercenaries Kickstarter. It looks to have a broader torso, and it doesn't look quite as hunched up to me. With more players starting to use infantry, whether through Total Warfare or the battlefield support options introduced with Mercenaries, the Vulcan will see more action. The Vulcan has made it into several video games, such as Harebrained Schemes Battletech, as well as MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. In Battletech, these guys are a nuisance, especially when they get close enough to raise the heat on some of my hotter energy mechs. I've only ever run against a Vulcan in MechWarrior 5, never fielded one. They are a nuisance here as well, at least until you delete them from the battlefield. I have seen them use their flamers, and they can help spike heat, but with no infantry to burn out, they're not much use except to salvage and sell. I do like the loading screen in MechWarrior 5 showing the damaged Vulcan, however. If you want to add a Vulcan to your tabletop infantry hunting forces, you can pick one up from Ironwood Metals, though it is currently based off the old TRO 3025 line art. If you're looking for something more modern, and in plastic, then the Inner Sphere Security Lance is for you. Along with the Vulcan, you'll get a Jaeger Mech, a Scorpion, and a Whitworth. You might also pull a Vulcan from a salvage box. Unlikely, really, but you might be surprised. Someone in your local group might also want to trade something for their Vulcan. It never hurts to ask. I currently don't own a Vulcan, as I didn't get the Inner Sphere Security Lance, and I didn't pull one from a salvage box. I like the look of the Vulcan, and it's useful in very specific instances, but it isn't a mech that I'm rushing out to buy or trade for. That might change as we continue to use more combined arms and infantry, but I'm not quite to the point of needing it. Yet. In a world of battle mechs, the Vulcan isn't an ideal choice, especially when there are so many battle value comparable units to pick from. If you're needing to clean out a building, or catch infantry out in the open, not much will beat the Vulcan when it comes to infantry removal. Just keep it on the move. Is the Vulcan a favorite of yours, or is it in your collection because of the Inner Sphere Security Lance? Am I being unreasonable in my assessment? Any suggestions on how to best use the Vulcan? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.